Hello, I'm Adrian, and I'm here in Wells to record some Baroque music with the ensemble La Serenissima. The music you're about to hear is by an Italian guy called Giuseppe Antonio Brascianello and was written about 300 years ago. It's part of a suite for strings and continuo. The music of the Baroque comes from between the years 1600 and 1750, though most of the music that you will hear and most of the music that we play comes from the last 50 years, i.e. the first 50 years of the 18th century. Music by composers such as Vivaldi, Bach, Handel, Locatelli, Corelli. The Baroque music that you'll hear us playing today is vibrant, it's lively, it's dance-like, it's got a strong beat. You've heard a couple of bits of the Brascianello chaconne now. The chaconne is a kind of a dance that was popular in France, and some of you may have noticed that the music kind of repeats itself. If you've spotted this, well done, you should go to the top of the class, because in actual fact, that's exactly what is happening. Let's have a look at how this works. 2, 3, 1. With the oboe and harpsichord. Let's add the violas. Next it's the second violins. First violins. When Baroque composers wrote for an orchestra such as ours, sometimes they would single out one or two special players for little solo sections, and that's exactly what Brascianello does in this chaconne. If you listen closely, you'll hear the whole orchestra playing, and then it just drops down to sort of 3 or 4 players, namely 2 violins, a cello, and the theorbo. 1, 2, 3, 1. One of the special things about our Baroque orchestra is that we use instruments that are very, very slightly different to instruments that you might play at school. Instruments have developed a huge amount over the last 300 years, and what we're doing is actually using violins, violas, cellos that are exactly like the instruments that the composers would have used back then. Our players either play original instruments that were made 300, sometimes 350 years ago, and sometimes, like myself, I play an instrument that was actually made only 30 years ago, but is closely copied on an original from around 1680. One of the main differences between, say, a modern violin and a Baroque violin is if you look at the strings that we use, the top 3 strings are made of pure gut. In actual fact, my strings are made from beef gut, so next time you're having roast dinner, maybe my violin strings may have been made from the same cow. Let's have a look at a couple of other instruments in the orchestra that may be a little bit unfamiliar to you. Robin, you play the harpsichord.
Yes, that's right. Thanks, Adrian. The harpsichord is, I suppose, the main forerunner to the piano, apart from the organ. So it was one of the key instruments in the Baroque period. In the orchestra, the harpsichord gives a kind of accompanying, a rhythmically driving role. And I'm always playing from a bass line, a single bass line, which is often notated with lots of figures and other symbols. That's giving me information about the notes I have to play. And it means that I don't have to play precisely the same thing every time. So there's a lot of improvisation involved in what I do.
I'll do that again. So you've met the harpsichord. Now what about the theorbo, or even the Baroque guitar? Let's meet Linda Sace.
So this is a theorbo. It doesn't really have any modern equivalent. It's a member of the lute family, and you can see it has a round pear-shaped body, just like a lute. It has 14 strings. So I have 6 strings downstairs, which are played like a guitar, but they're tuned differently. We have this wonderful inside-out tuning, which we call reentrant, and it goes like this. And then I have another 8 strings upstairs on this very long neck. Hopefully you can see that. And they are my bass register. In the late 16th century, when this instrument was invented, the only way to get a really low note was to make the string really long. And these strings are tuned to a scale. And I'm playing from the same score that Robin is playing from, and improvising around the bass line. So we have lots of possibilities to combine chords here with
The chaconne was a dance that was really popular during the 17th and 18th centuries. We're not going to listen to the whole 8 minutes of this piece, but let's finish with listening to a bit more and see if you can imagine what kind of dance you might have put to this music.